Welcome back to the Level Up Leader podcast, where we dive into conversations with top leaders who are shaking up industries, scaling businesses, and redefining leadership. I'm your host, Michael King, and today we're introducing something that's going to change the game for small businesses and even churches: fractional leadership. Now, what if I told you that you could get access to executive level leadership strategy and expertise without hiring a full-time C-suite executive? Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. I'm joined by some absolute powerhouses in the world of leadership strategy and operations. These guys, they're not just consultants, but they're executors stepping into businesses and ministries to create real results. So get ready for me to introduce you to these four powerful people: Roger Jepsen, John Michael Morgan, John Gacinski, and Jim Probst. Welcome to the Level Up Leader podcast. All right, Jim, John, Michael, Roger, John, Michael, welcome to the Level Up Leader podcast. It's great being all together on one singular platform today, talking about the Fractional Leader Agency. And to John and Roger and Jim, I told you that John Michael is actually a real person. Like, he's here with us today.
So I can see somebody on the other end of it now. All right.
It's not AI. You sure about that?
I don't know. Maybe we should check this out. I mean, it looks too good to be true.
Wow. So good. So let's just get straight to it. We're talking about the Fractional Leader Agency and why did we come together to launch the Fractional Leader Agency in itself. So John Michael Morgan, this kind of started a little bit with, because you're actually one of my coaches that I work with. You've been working with me for a while to really help me solidify my brand. And you've been a juggernaut when it comes to actually helping people in their branding journey. And I love what you bring to the table. But talk to a little bit about, like, why fractional for you, and why would somebody why is it valuable for you to be a part of the Fractional Leader Agency?
You know, I'm sure everyone else here can agree. I've seen business owners, leaders, top level executives for years assume that they need full-time, high salary executives to help them solve their challenges. And the reality is that's not true, right? You just don't need it. You need ideas, you need strategy, you need, of course, implementation, execution, and these things. But the thing about fractional leadership is that you're close enough to know what's going on, but you're just enough on the outside to see clearly and see blind spots that someone on the inside can't see. And that's why it's so effective.
I would say that's exactly spot on when it comes to that, John, for sure. I think they waste a lot of time on, time and money and hiring full-time executives and bringing them in-house. And what they really should be focusing on is like high-level expertise level stuff. And expertise that's more on demand than like someone full time. And that's, I think, where we really come in and shine. We really know how to cut through all the chaos, bring clarity to people, and really help the businesses scale without all that extra overhead that they have to incur. And so really it's about getting them the leadership, what they need and exactly when they need it, so they can actually focus on what really drives the results internally for them, I feel. So
and the world changed, in 2020 with COVID and people working remotely. And all of a sudden, you didn't need to be in the same building anymore. You didn't need to be I've got clients all across the country. I don't need to be in the same state with them any longer. It's more about delivering quality versus just, being in the same room with somebody. So it's changed quite a bit.
Yeah, I love that. And Jim, you bring a little bit of a different perspective to this as well, because you're our fractional leader when it comes to ministry spaces and churches. So talk to us a little bit about why for you.
Yeah, the first disclaimer is I like to be in the room where I'm the dumbest guy in the room, and I've succeeded again. We got some really bright people here, and I love it. Yeah, I love to be a part of it. But I'll tell you, in my tribe, in the people I hang out with, we've gotten good at conferences. We've gotten even good at cohorts. But what we haven't been able to figure out in general is how to really leverage some wisdom for the longer haul and make that work well. A lot of times we would think in the church that spiritual and strategic are at odds with each other. That's just not true. Obviously it's not true. And so they're not at odds. In fact, they help a lot as you grow, and we all want to grow in the church. And so to leverage outside expertise that's not quite too familiar with the surroundings where everything's gotten bland and you missed the flavor of it, it's good. And so to bring in a fresh set of ears and eyes and a voice for some specificity in areas where you're kind of bland is a good thing.
Awesome.
Amen.
So this is where we're gonna dive in. We're gonna make this a little bit real here. So Roger, I'm gonna start with you, but let's give an example of how fractional leadership has actually transformed an organization. So give us some examples of how you see this playing out.
Well, I guess for me, my expertise is really in the e-commerce and retail and fashion kind of industries, but obviously I'll cover all areas of all things, but that's really where I shine the most, I would say. But I guess for me, working with an e-commerce brand that really, they didn't have any like systems to handle their crazy growth. They're overwhelmed by these processes that they didn't expect that would come their way. And so as coming in and helping them with that, I was able to step in and streamline all their operations. I optimized all their fulfillment processes and doubled their efficiency because we really paid attention to the data and truly measured what matters internally. But the best part is that they got all that, at a fraction of the cost versus what it would normally take, a full-time executive to do.
Yeah, I love that. So how about you, John Michael? Talk to me.
Yeah, branding is all about positioning. Why do you exist in the marketplace? You can't just be another competitor that sells the same thing, has the same look and feel as, everyone else in the space. And, often you'll hear, experts or so-called experts just say that, branding is storytelling, and it is, but they only think of like the brand story. But you also need to know what's your customer's story. What's the story they have about the problem that they're trying to solve? And really what this comes down to is like, how do you go in and say, all right, like I helped this one company figure out the right message for the right market, right? Because, we win or lose based on client selection, and they were getting clients, but not the right clients, and they didn't have the right positioning. So we changed their messaging, make sure we had like what I call like message to market match. And then once that ended up happening, again, all from a fractional standpoint, within 1 year, they actually increased conversions 68%. And then 3 years later, their customer retention was up 91%. And so it's about, building a brand and then basically building a big moat around it so your people, stick with you. And all of that can be done from a fractional leadership point of view. But like we're all saying, it takes someone, again, who knows what they're doing, knows your business, but is outside enough to bring fresh ideas and innovative strategy.
I love it. How about you, Jim?
Yeah, a quick context here. The last 17 years or so, I've been in churches of 6,000 to 7,000, 5,000, 6,000. And I'm working with churches that are smaller than that right now and networking with them. And, they sometimes struggle. Going from 500 to 5,000 is a 10X issue. And sometimes they don't have the appetite for the 10X strategy or the development or the systems. They're great lovers of people. But then there's a lid on how you get in front of that many people because of the lack of those structures, so the lack of those systems, the lack of that development. And so I'm having fun just talking with some people about those things, talking with churches and looking for ways to try to accelerate that. And acceleration might be the key because they all want to reach more. They all want to be more effective. But some of the old paradigms don't work for the new arenas that they want to play in.
Yeah, that's good. That's really great. And, and just to give some context to this as well. So Jim and I, we go back over 20 years. And in fact, a lot of my journey into executive leadership.
Why does he look so much younger than you?
It's because he hasn't paid the price of actually going through leadership pain in the church like I have.
Okay.
Right.
Like his journey has been, sunshine and roses and all that.
No emotional scarring here, I can tell you.
None at all.
Nothing.
Not at all.
Nothing.
The conversation they're going to have after this call.
But here's the thing, though. Jim was the guy that first introduced me to Good to Great by Jim Collins. And when I read that book, phenomenal book. But when I first read that book, that's when I started to realize, as being kind of like, so at the time, like, so 25 plus years ago, Jim and I were on staff at a church together. I was the music and worship guy. Jim was the youth pastor / executive number 2 catch-all type of leader. But that was when I started to realize, like, oh, okay, this actually makes sense. Maybe I'm sitting in the wrong seat and I'm just in the wrong space doing the wrong things. And that was a catalyst for everything that was to come. And we'll dive into more of that later. But I wanted to invite a ministry leader into the agency because, number one, I don't think people actually truly understand, like, how valuable ministry leaders are when they get it. Like, because they've done everything. Like, they've done strategy, they've done structure, they've done marketing, they've done communication. They do so much. And so the thing that Jim brings to the table is going to be very multi-timbral. And so I like that as well. But then we have John Gacinski coming on, and I don't even think people actually even truly understand, like, the level of scalability that an organization needs to have by having a fractional CFO on their team if they haven't considered it before. And so we get a lot of inquiry regarding this type of person on, inside of organizations. So, John, so what's a perspective that you're bringing to this, as far as, like, any stories, as far as, like, how this can be a game changer for a company?
Well, I mean, the idea of the why behind the fractional CFO, and the answer is because you need it. What I'm finding is that a lot of companies come to us and they've got great ideas. Okay, they've got great ideas. They're actually their vision is starting to take root, but the financial aspect of it has fallen way behind. They've outgrown what worked for them on day one, and so companies are finding that all of a sudden they're behind and they need to catch up. And my advice to clients is, don't fall in that position. Let's get started day one on what you need to have done. And we look at accounting and tax work as a necessary evil too many times. And in reality, it's really something that could help you drive your vision to where you want it to go. Being on top of things, being able to access funding, staying out of trouble with the IRS, creative tax planning, the whole bit. And, we've had clients come to us who were way behind with their books, didn't have any vision. They had a vision in their head, but they didn't know how to get there financially. And that's where we come in. And, it's been a lot of success stories. People who thought, well, I can't afford that. And then 6 months, a year later are saying, I can't believe I did as long without this that I did. So, Jim, you're talking before about churches. And I don't know how many times I said to my pastor, you need to run this church like you run a business. Okay, you need to make sure your books are balanced, that you actually you're taking in more than you're spending. And that's something, because too many times I've heard ministry leaders say to me, well, God will provide. And I'm like, of course he will, but we need to be good stewards. And I think with churches, a lot of times they don't understand, or they don't want to get involved in the nitty gritty in terms of, financial planning and projections. And that's a real need. As a church grows, they really, I think you're in a great spot there. So, but that's it, Michael. You know what? The why is because, you don't think you need it, but trust me, you do. And once you've worked with us, you'll realize this has been a game changer for me. So there you go.
I love it. So want to just take a moment here to allow you guys to really introduce yourself. And what is the thing that you do better than anyone else in a humble way? Like that's an kind of an awkward question, but I want to introduce you guys and just give a snapshot to every single person as far as what we bring to the team. Now, for me, I'll lead off is that, I started off with 2016, 2017 of going in and really recognizing that there is such a massive gap in the executive coaching space of somebody that's actually coming into an organization and then actually helping them fix their structure in a way to where they can be able to accomplish so much more by understanding how their teams are built And that's the thing that we became passionate about. We started to get a lot of scientific information and a lot of data assessments and learning how to actually take organizations, whether they're large or small, and for them to be able to figure out how can you actually 10x the performance of your organization by actually understanding how to utilize the people that are on your team the best. And that's the thing that we've become really well known for. Now, with that as well, we've been offering fractional CEO services for a while. So whenever there's lacking vision and whether there's lacking mission within an organization, I'm thankful. I've spent the last 6 or 7 years of my life now running alongside high performing leaders and helping them clarify the thing that they should be doing and the thing that they should be chasing down. So, but each and every single one of you that are on this call today, you guys are all here for a specific reason because you've somehow impacted the way that I see the world and you've helped me do what I do better. And so that's really the why I decided to unite the Avengers per se, is because you guys are the best people at what you do. And I wanted to invite you along with that. So let's start off with Roger. Roger, what is the thing that you do? What is it?
I mean, a lot, Michael, just so much. I don't think we got time on this call to figure that out and go through it. So I wear a lot of hats all over the place, but obviously, CEO operational type stuff is my forte, and that's where I really shine and specialize. So I'm really good at cutting through all the chaos in organizations and really trying to focus on operational efficiencies. And I have a really strong background in, I got a degree in architecture engineering, and I've got an IT degree as well. And so, really when it comes to me, I've got not only the operational and leadership expertise, but it's really the technical side, which is a lot of time the systems and the strategies behind what really drives the business day to day in terms of operational efficiency. So my forte, like I said before, is really the e-commerce and retail sectors and even some of the fashion stuff. But I cover a lot of different verticals. That expertise can work in about any organization out there, no matter what's going on. It's just really, I'm all about like measuring the data, measuring what actually matters versus what don't focus on 30 different KPIs. What are the core things that we're working on and the goals, and really honing in on those specific areas to really help drive efficiency, streamline processes, and really make a difference in an organization. So yeah.
I love it. How about you, Jim?
Yeah, real quick, I've got a psychology background, and I pair that with spiritual formation masters and very close to a different master's in leadership. So I kind of like to pull those things together. I realize that a lot of times we have well-intended doers in the church that put an unnecessary cap on themselves, and we're better off being developers, equipping and empowering in the best way possible. Someday I'll bore you with the detail on equip and what that really means biblically, but love working with structures and systems that allow it to go beyond just one dynamic personality. A lot of people that might be listening will be saying, yep, I know that dynamic personality. And sometimes that can be as much an asset or as much a liability as an asset, as Good to Great talks about. Mm-hmm. Charisma can be as much a liability as an asset when you want to pull other people together and have an ownership that goes bigger than you. And so I love the strategy, I love the structure, and maybe to say it fairly succinctly, a lot of ministry leaders feel the urgency of the day to somehow grow this or that and get more buy-in somewhere, and they're chasing the shiny object at the latest and greatest conference. And when they do that, they have a really immature ministry philosophy. They're going to be a Frankenstein model. They'll be pulling from 10 different organizations. They don't have identity. And what I love to do is talk about a mature ministry philosophy so that when you're taking step A or program B, you're doing that to fit an overall model that makes sense for you and empowers people and just takes it to the next level with just profound ownership with the entire body, not just one individual. Love doing that stuff.
Love it. John, you're up.
So, we're a CPA firm in New York. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I've got real world CFO experience with a New York City real estate company. I like to say that there are a lot of guys a lot of people can do a tax return, a lot of people can do a budget, a lot of people can do bookkeeping, accounting, et cetera. What I think we bring to the table is the ability to put on the owner's hat, to see things as an owner would see it. And even in my previous life as a real world CFO, I was always trying to think like the owner would think, anticipate questions, look ahead. If there's a problem, my first impulse is, well, let's fix this. Let's solve this. Let's figure out what went wrong later, but at the moment, let's deal with what's ailing you. And, being able to put on the owner's hat, here in the Northeast, there was a movie called The Godfather, which you guys probably all have seen. And there was a character named Tom Hagen, and he was called the consigliere, who was like the advisor to the family. And I kind of like to see myself in that role with my clients. I become your advisor. I become the guy. If you have an idea, I'm the first guy you call to see how this works. If you have a problem, I'm the one you would call to try to hash it out. And that takes time, but I think that relationship aspect of it is what we're really good at. And I think that's something you can't really put a dollar value on either. So in a nutshell, a lot of people can do the nuts and bolts, but it's that extra owner's view of things, I think, that really helps us to deliver good service to our clients.
I love it. All right, John Michael Morgan, come on.
Yeah, if we're the Avengers, I'm definitely Thor. So I think
come on.
Which one?
Which Thor? What do you mean, which one? Chris Hemsworth. Let's just
No.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
We're about to go down a deep rabbit hole here. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, there's drunk and fat Thor, and then there's the skinny buff version of Thor. And
you are such a nerd. It's all Thor, all right? He's mighty in all of them, and it doesn't matter which one. I could pull it all off, let's just say. One would require more AI help. So there is that. But yeah, I
have a feeling like we need to characterize ourselves now.
Right. Yes, that'd be amazing. I'm just glad you didn't say the Justice League, because then I would have had to leave. I'd be like, all right, we're out. Okay. I'm supposed to talk about me. All right. In a way that actually matters to people. So I have been doing this for 16 years, maybe 17 years. And before that, I had built and sold a couple of companies. I have helped brands from small business owners and solo entrepreneurs all the way up to a lot of brands that everyone would have heard of. And really what I do is I come in and help someone stand out, help someone make sure, again, they're attracting the right customers and build an army of raving fans. And ultimately, the thing is, brand is a feeling. And we're in a really interesting time now in the world and in business where now what's happening is this thing I call the brand vibe check, which is people are kind of checking you out to see if they're even worth following. Are you worth doing business with before they want to attach to you or give you their attention? And so we've got to know what that is. Like when someone does business with you, how do they feel about it? Do they feel better, stronger, faster, smarter? Like, again, what's the thing? It's like there's the position in the market, but then there's the position in people's mind. And so that's a lot of what I do. It's branding and marketing and just making sure that people are actually hitting their goals.
Killer. I love it. And you know what? I'm going to forgive you for that whole Justice League crap that you just totally dropped on us. Like, the world's going to change. You're just as excited about the Superman trailer as I am. So,
wait, I was until Marvel said, here's the Fantastic Four. And it was like, okay. And then also like Jurassic World coming out at the same time.
It's going to be a great month. It's going to be a good month.
Listen.
I'm actually finally excited to get back to cinema. Okay. So just a couple. So I'm just going to call on a couple of you. John Michael, why would somebody who is the perfect client for fractional leadership? Let's just start with you.
Okay. So I think there are two, unless everybody disagrees with me, and then we'll edit that out. But I think there are two. People who are stuck and don't know why. They need us. And then people who are doing things well, but they've plateaued. And it's a dangerous position because then you might scale the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are a lot of people that their business is fine, but they can't break through to the next level. They need us as well. So I think it's those two people.
Roger, who's the perfect client for fractional leadership?
Everyone. Is that it? I'm just kidding. No, I think anybody that's operations are a mess and, they've plateaued, like John said internally in terms of operations, they don't know what to do, where to turn, how to do it. And they know looking at numbers and different things as the business, they know they have inefficiencies in certain areas, but they're afraid to just make that jump to really focus and fix that. So I think like hiring the superheroes of operations like us, we can step in, we cut through the chaos, we bring clarity to the organization, and we really focus on truly what matters in the organization. Like, just let's get rid of the bull and let's talk about really what truly matters and what we're focusing on. A lot of times there's a lot of conversations that happen, a lot of I feels or I thinks. There's not a lot of, in my realm, and numbers, it's just there's not a lot of utilizing what we have in front of us in terms of actual data to truly drive what we're trying to do. So let's get rid of the operational mayhem and get to things running like a well-oiled machine for sure. So,
yep. So here's the deal. So fractional leadership, if you want the big results without having the big costs attached to it, we're here to help you. So these guys are trusted. I'm excited to see what the future looks like as we get the agency launched. So Jim, John, Michael, Roger, John, Michael, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do this. Thanks, guys.
So here's the big leadership idea I want to leave you with today, is that fractional leadership, it's not a trend, it's the future. Why? Because businesses and organizations no longer have time or money to waste. The old model of hiring full-time executives for every leadership gap just doesn't work anymore. Today, companies need specialized expertise, on-demand execution, and scalable strategy without any of the overhead. Now, that's why fractional leaders are here to stay. We're not consultants who just give advice and walk away. We step in, align your vision, build your system, and optimize your teams and drive real results. And we do it fast. So if you're ready to lead smarter, faster, and more efficiently, now is the time to bring in fractional leadership. Don't miss out on future conversations with top leaders. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow the Level Up Leader podcast wherever you get your content: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and LinkedIn. Now let's level up your leadership. See you next time.